Hi, it's Allison Zmuda, and I am so excited to introduce EJ Zebro and Bena Kallick.
Hey.
So Bena is going to be our Vanna White in this moment as we start to dive into our exciting second day of our conference. As a quick preview, the power of restoring our balance in our center. And EJ is really going to walk us through the idea of habits of movement, which require a connection between body, mind, and heart. So EJ, can you talk a little bit about the connection of habits of movement and how that came about?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Bena and I have been working together for over 20 years now. So our anniversary year, I believe, our 20th year together. She's really been an inspiration to me in thinking about my thinking and then evolving into thinking about her moving, our moving, how we all move collectively. What we've just determined over the years is that not only are these movement patterns creating new coordinated ways for us to move our bodies, but also creating new neural pathways in our bodies to be able to tap into these movements, which we can then correlate to our emotions and our feelings and what happens in this movement state, how that creates a feeling state within us, and then how we carry those out into the world, into relationships or into our work environment, into our activities of daily living, how these neural pathways through movement allow us this greater grace and stability and growth patterns that become part of us with practice and over time.
So Bena, can you talk a little bit about the connection of habits of mind with habits of movement? So as you continue to work, as again, to this very day, I'm sure you worked out today with EJ. So what are the one or two habits of mind that you use as you're continuing to engage with the exercises?
Well, I have certainly found that the habits of mind have helped me enormously, certainly persisting, because there's always, I was thinking about it today because really one of the things I noticed that EJ does for me and I assume with everybody else as well, is the metacognition that's associated with the exercise itself. So he tells me to do something. Today he asked me to do something with a heavy weight. And he said, and bend your knee down and kind of act as if you're kind of moving and turning as if you're a screwdriver. Well, metacognitively and cognitively that made sense, but my body didn't really understand it at all. And so I did it, and I did it in what I would call the klutzy first move, which is not exactly the way he was explaining it. And then what he did was he said, okay, now what I'm going to ask you to do is this. And he chunked it into 3 simple steps. So he said, the first thing you do is get your balance with your knee in front. Do your lunge and get your balance. Then take the ball, which is heavy weight, and put it out in front of you. Then gradually turn. And lo and behold, I was behaving like a screwdriver. So that idea that you're not seeking perfection, you're striving for accuracy, but the striving, the ing part of it, is probably the most important thing. And then the coach that tells you the steps to get there is what I take away when I go home and do it by myself.
Yeah. I mean, it's powerful, Bena, because you started to talk about a couple habits, one persisting right out of the gate. You moved then into gathering data and metacognition, and then striving for accuracy. But I think at the end of the day, it's also taking responsible risks, the opportunity to give it a go and see what happens, because not just like learning a language, the idea of learning how your body moves when you're starting to think about retraining neural pathways to really start to tune in with how you are. The opportunity is that habits of movement really are much about taking a responsible risk to see how your body feels in space and how that helps you become more centered and grounded. So EJ, I would love for you to take a responsible risk with all of us and to show one strategy or move when it comes to thinking about how we stand up. So we were thinking about something that we are sure that regardless of job description, you're coming to this conference, this keynote is going to be alive, vibrant, energetic, and people are going to be actively moving. But can you show us a little bit of how to actually stand up and be present in space?
Absolutely. Well, as a chiropractor, one of the things that's most important in my day-to-day work is to make sure that I do no harm. So one of the ways that we can help create a very strong core and a stable spine is to create a neutral spine. So if my spine is flexed forward or hyperextended back, both of those put pressure on my spine for different reasons. And we know that extended sitting, that gravity, I'll use Bena as my example, is pushing us down, squashing us, rounding us forward. Use bad posture, not the good posture. Thank you. So as gravity is crushing us this way, in order to stand up strong in that beautiful neutral spine, our shoulder blades will be engaged, our abdominal muscles will be engaged, and there'll be some glute activity. So that's all well and good. And there's exercises that we all know that we can practice to have this great posture, and that's consciously thinking about it, and that's important. But the unconscious part, how do we tap into this excellent posture when gravity and stress and life and devices are pulling us forward without doing these exercises to pull us back? There's a great hack. And that hack is a bridge between our conscious and our unconscious, which is our breath. So Bena and I are both going to stand in what is classically our anatomical position, but also like mountain pose in yoga. So our legs are relatively straight. They're a little unlocked. They're not completely locked. We're standing up nice and tall. Our palms are rotated forward. There's some tension in our abdominal muscles, like someone's poking me in the stomach and I'm resisting, and my shoulder blades are back. But here's the key. We're breathing. We're taking a deep breath in through our nose, feeling the bottom of our lungs, following that air come all the way up to the top of my lungs. And if I do that, if I hold my air here, it's very hard to be compressed and restricted. So as that air comes up, my shoulder blades go back, my abdominal muscles are engaged. And as we slowly exhale, there's even more tension in those abdominal muscles and I'm bracing. And if I breathe out all the way, it even goes down into my pelvic floor. So what that's doing, it's creating a really strong cylinder that keeps me upright, that keeps me energized, that brings that oxygen in, carbon dioxide out. And this is my hack to the conscious and the unconscious. When I get up out of a chair, the first thing we do, we take a big breath, we ground, we settle, and then we begin to move. Instead of getting up in a hurried way, still in a tense, compressed way, fighting against gravity. So that breath is so important for us to stay connected, not only to ourselves, to the ground underneath us, up tall, keeping our neutral spine, and being able to fight against gravity and the repetitive stress around us.
And I will say certainly that for me, what you just said reminded me of something that you have me so in the habit of doing, which is because I'm a high energy person, always jumped right up when I had okay, we're going to go up, and I'm up, now I'm out. And you taught me to ground myself before I start to move. That's made such a difference. And the older I get, the more difference it makes.
Just one moment, right? To reconnect to yourself, to the earth, to align and to attune, right? To yourself and to the world around you.
So in this moment, we are just so energized about, EJ, you coming to kick off day 2 of the conference. The conference is going to be on April 7th and 8th. So the 8th is day 2. And the opportunity of continuing to see some practical tips and strategies that are not just good for educators, they're good for all of us. Regardless of our height, age, weight, we can continue to learn how to become more mindful, more grounded, and having a more optimistic bent to how we engage in the world. So
I wanted to be sure also, Allison, to just note that I wore regular clothes and not gym clothes to communicate the message. We're casual when we are at the conference, but we don't have to be in gym clothes to do what EJ is going to teach us how to do.
That's right. So EJ and I are in gym clothes together. I'm going to go work out again, mindful of the fact of everything that EJ just described. The idea of getting grounded in your breath. Fundamentally, you're having an open heart into the world, into the way that you're interacting. And that's genuinely what we want as part of your lives. So that's going to be what we explore on day 2. So
See you at the conference.
see you at the conference.
See you there.